Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's 2026. Can't believe it's already here. We're about to leave for Sam Rayburn First Bassmaster Open in a couple weeks here. But wanted to do my 2026 preseason bait rankings for this year. If you guys have watched any of these videos before, you know how this one goes. 6 baits that for the preseason that I'm going to predict will be my top producers in tournaments. Starting with an honorable mention and then going down the list 5 through 1. When curating this preseason list, I'm looking at my schedule of events and what I think are going to be the key baits for each tournament that will lead to the most successful finish that I can have, and then kind of trying to scale them and predict which ones are going to be the best for me overall, encompassing for the entire season. So let's get started. There are going to be a couple different ones than finished at the top of my final for 2025, just because it's a different schedule. So let's get started here. Honorable mention, could be a shocker to some of you guys, is a drop shot is going to be honorable mention. It finished second last year in the final rankings. Just when looking at the schedule this year, for me personally, I mostly am throwing a drop shot for smallmouth, and there aren't nearly as many drop shot smallmouth-esque tournaments that I think I'm going to be in this year. Now that being said, one of the things that I really want to work on a little bit more this year is drop shotting for largemouth. So if I get pretty confident doing that with some larger, 5 to 6 inch worms, drop shotting for largemouth, that could certainly move up the rankings into the actual top 5 and not in an honorable mention spot. But just looking at the schedule, I think it's definitely going to play for me, but it's not going to be as big of a player as last year. Number 5 is a Texas rig. Now, Texas rig is obviously, that could be a lot of different things, right? That could be a pegged weight, punching. That could be, an unpegged weight. That could even be something like a fluke, weightless, or even a Senko, flipping, beaver style. Got one right here just as an example. This is a little broad. I do have a little asterisk on it because, and I'm giving myself a little wiggle room because there are going to be a lot of, I think, betting tournaments for me this year where a Texas rig is going to play huge, trying to catch betting fish. But also, I think a fluke is really going to play a lot this year as well. So a little bit of a cop-out. When we get into the actual rankings, once we started the season, I will probably split that up, whether it's more of a creature bait that's playing more, or a fluke, or both. Maybe they both make the top 5. So Texas rig with an asterisk as number 5. Number 4 is a minnow. I believe a minnow placed 4th for me last year in the final rankings. Minnow's going to play this year, forward-facing sonar. I think it'll play just about the same amount as it did last year. I certainly have more confidence in it, and kind of have some confidence in some baits. I'm going to be trying some new terminal tackle in terms of the jig heads this year, but minnow will play for sure. It always does, but we'll see if it plays more or less than last year. Number 3, chatterbait. Should be no shock. I am a little hesitant though. I could see a chatterbait being my main bait in 1 or 2 tournaments, but across the board, it's not going to be as frequent of a bait that I'm going to pick up. I don't predict. But still having it at number 3, obviously very high in the rankings. It has the potential to place me very, very high or even win me a tournament this year. So I have to put it in there. It's a confidence bait for me. And it's always going to be on the deck of my boat. I can't even lie about that. Number 2 was not in the rankings at all last year, is a jig. Again, sort of like a Texas rig, very broad bait category, a jig. Specifically, what I think is going to play more for me this year is a football head jig, using forward-facing sonar offshore. It's something that a jig in general was a bait that I actually really worked on a lot in 2025. Much like the glide bait, hopefully for me in 2026, is the number 1 bait I'm trying to learn. You guys can watch that video. That was the last video that I posted. I'll put a link in the description. But a jig for me, that was that bait last year. Whether it was skipping docks, football jig, offshore, whether it was in grass, brush piles, rock, I really got some good confidence in a jig going into 2026, and I've gotten better with it, specifically also with forward-facing sonar. Now that's not to say that I'm not going to still skip a jig or flip a jig, lay downs and docks and stuff like that, but I think specifically a football head jig. But again, I'm leaving it as a jig preseason. Leave it a little broad, and then we'll kind of fine-tune the technical bait once we get into the actual season. And number one, preseason, is a jerk bait. It finished number one last year. You got to put it at the top. It's going to play. Honestly, a jerkbait can play in any single tournament that I'm going to fish. I think in general, I've got so much confidence in it, whether it's with forward-facing sonar or not. It's just... All right, guys, ran out of storage there on the phone, so just resetting here. Number one is a jerkbait. It's going to play in every tournament. Got supreme confidence in it. Whether it's with forward-facing or not, it can just play in any single tournament. Whether you're fishing over grass, rock, timber, even around docks, up shallow, down deep, brush piles, you name it. Jerkbait, very, very versatile, especially with forward-facing sonar. And I'm excited to try a couple new ones this year for little niche applications. So it could even play even more for me this year than it did last year. But definitely think it has the potential to bring a fish to the scales in every single tournament that I'm going to fish this year. That's just how it is. So those are my preseason ranking, guys. Enjoy doing these videos a lot, especially these predictive ones, always looking ahead, especially when it's cold outside, and just looking ahead to the season. Can't wait to get started. So thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.